Welcome to Coffee with the Mayor. I'm your host, Oldsmar Mayor Eric Seidel, and we are broadcasting live from the top of Tampa Bay in beautiful Oldsmar, Florida, downtown Oldsmar. These segments are featured each Wednesday following an Oldsmar City Council meeting. It's an update for the community, an abbreviated show of what happened the night before. And before I begin, I want to encourage our viewing audience to submit any questions they might have during this segment by commenting on our Facebook live feed. We'll do our best to get to them and get them answered. And just in case we don't get to you, you can always email me at eseidel@myoldsmar.com. And let me start out by saying aloha to Paul Martin, who already posted on there. He is one of our citizens who's stationed over in Hawaii right now, so we miss Paul. Good morning. I guess it's good, super morning over there. Okay. So this morning we're running a little bit different. You know, we normally have Deb Fertrelli in here, but Deb right now is on her way to the Florida Municipal Communications Association conference, where she is president-elect. So she'll be coming in. So I have a special guest with us today from the Upper Tampa Bay Regional Chamber of Commerce, who serves as Director of Business and Government Affairs. Past Mayor, Doug Beavis.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's beautiful weather outside.
Beautiful weather. You know,
Chamber of Commerce kind of weather.
Chamber of Commerce
kind of weather. See what I did there?
I see what you did. You slid that right in. The Chamber's got a lot of stuff going on this weekend, and we'll get to that in a minute. But, you know, it's kind of unfair to be in here with him because, you know, he's a DJ on 99.5 Country. And what's it called?
99.5 QIK.
There you go. So he puts it on, and he's an old pro. But so anyhow, our recap is going to be kind of short because, in part, we had a short meeting last night. Some say it was the shortest.
I'm not sure.
I think it was.
I've done a records request.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and highlight some of the chatter last night. First, the Citizens Open Forum. We didn't have a whole lot on there. But we did have Dallas, who's a local citizen who's really been keeping it in the forefront about the issue we're having with flight patterns coming in over to Pi. And so we had some comments about that. And, of course, the city sent a letter over to the FAA and the administrator, as well as the airport itself, was stating a bunch of different examples there where that's occurred. And they're supposed to keep it in a certain time zone, and they're flying after 11 o'clock, and it's a real problem. Especially, he pointed out that there's new airlines coming on there, and so it's likely to worsen. So we're trying to do what we can there, and it's always good when we have somebody come up and comment on that. Most of the items on the agenda last night were budget related, a lot of budget items, and for our citizens who don't know this, the way that typically works is, these items that we are voting on, individual expenditures, and partially the process for procurement and so forth, they've already been voted on. They've been voted on during the budget process, which is a budget hearing process. So that kind of goes very routine, and so that's what we had a lot of last night. There was one under the city attorney, Resolution 2021-21, adopting language pertaining to the final ballot language for the charter questions on the March 15, 2022 municipal elections. And so, as you might remember, we have a charter review committee that normally meets every 5 years. As a matter of fact, that's one of the questions on the ballot, that it moved to 10 years. But most of all the items that are on the ballot, all but really I think one, are really housekeeping items. For example, adding emergency services to the list of municipal functions, changing cable television to charging stations, kind of a modifying, making the document gender neutral. There is one item, and it has to do with revenue bond coverage, and it's proposing, which the council supported unanimously, lowering the allowable coverage from 50% to 10%. And what that means is that, not that I believe it would ever happen, but let's make sure it never does, that the city right now can issue revenue bonds up to 50% of our annual budget. And this reduces that to 10%. So if you haven't done so and you'd like to, I encourage you to go online and read this in more detail. And you can find this information when you go to look at our meetings and click on the agenda item, and you can have it in more detail. And of course, we also approved the tentative agenda for December 7th. And on that, of course, is the first hearing of ordinances 2021-25, 2021-26 pertaining to the downtown development. And of course, the big issue that you hear everyone talking about is the density issue, and should we increase the density? And that's what that public hearing is going to be about. And so I'm not going to try to frame the discussion here. That's the purpose of the public meeting, right? But the thing that I would say to our public is make sure that the information you're getting is factual. Just so you're getting the correct information, do your research. You know, I've heard some things that the density issue is suggesting that we allow up to 6 stories on the site. Just so everyone knows, that's either misinformation or just someone has it incorrect because it's already zoned for 6 stories, right? So little things like that. But absolutely go do your homework, and you can go to downtownoldsmar.com, and that's the city site, and it has a ton of information on it, all very factual. The debate, of course, kind of comes around, is this too much for the city, and is the traffic going to be the kind of problem that changes the city, versus you got those who say, well, look, we're putting 25,000 square feet of businesses there. Do we have the people to support it? And it's a good debate to have, and it's also the cost. Who's going to pay for the infrastructure? And so those are some of the things I expect you'll probably hear at the hearing. So I'll leave it at that because I don't really want to go too far on it. Other key items and actions, just some takeaway and some announcements before we get to our guest. For those of you who are out there, Veterans Day, it was so nice to bring back the Veterans Day event out at the park, Veterans Park. Our Veterans Advisory Board, city staff, and all the volunteers did such an excellent job putting it on. And, of course, our citizens who came out and participated, it was just nice to get everyone together. I know you were out there.
It was great, especially being a weekday and kids in school and things like that, but the tent was packed. It was awesome.
We're going to need a bigger tent.
Yeah.
We're going to need a bigger tent.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, and, of course, this past weekend we had Drive Electric Tampa Bay. And it's a partnership with some of the other cities in the area. We've been hosting it for a while now, and it was a nice turnout. The weather was good. You had the opportunity to test drive some different electric vehicles and hybrids, and so it was a lot of fun.
Didn't I hear the vice mayor went one time and then wound up buying an electric car as a result?
Yeah. Vice Mayor Knapp, he said a while ago, he said, the first one I went to, I test drove a Tesla, and now he owns one.
Yeah.
So that's pretty exciting. That's pretty exciting stuff. All right, just a couple other announcements. One, for those of you who don't know this, there is a really nice art exhibit that's going on at City Hall, and it's going to be there till January 7th. And it's from Tessa, which is a local artist group. And I'd encourage everyone to come out. I was there last night doing the little kickoff for it. Nice crowd, really some impressive art.
Do you have any artist skills, Mayor?
None at all.
Stick figures were about the only thing I could
Well,
do.
you know what I love? Of course, now when we have the art shows, we got the codes that you can scan with your phone, and it now tells you about the artist and the art that you're looking at, which is really nice for us novice who are like, is that watercolor or oils?
Yeah.
But it was fun. It was fun. And, of course, December 1st, 6 p.m. is the annual tree lighting ceremony. So that'll be fun. That's coming up. And then let's see what else we got. Of course, December 3rd, I know we have the mayor's breakfast. I'm going to leave that for you to talk about since the chamber is putting it on. But we have that evening the Christmas Winter Wonderland. That's a mouthful. And that's from 6 to 9 at Orioles Park. Bring the kids out. Well, there's a rumor Santa might be appearing out there and that it might even snow in Oldsmar.
Have you gone down that hill before?
I have.
I did, and when I got to the bottom, I fell off my disc and wound up with a wet rear end.
Yeah, so. And here's a little tip.
Yeah.
The earlier you go, the softer the fall. if you wait to the end of the night and there's no line, it's like it's a little different. The kids are going round and round.
Right.
we're like reaching for our walkers. It's not good. So, last time I'm just going to comment on is December 11th. You might have seen we just recently announced the Save the Bay program and the Mayor's Challenge that we have going on with Safety Harbor and Mayor Joe over there and myself. And really, it's an opportunity for us to get involved in doing something about trying to clean up the bay. I watched this presentation with the Tampa Bay Estuary Program where one of their leaders over there, Ms. Burke, was talking about how Old Tampa Bay is the least healthy body of water in Tampa. And so it's really concerning. And so what we're doing is we've gotten together with Watch Tampa Bay, who's a local organization, and we are proposing everyone gets together and we're going to make these vertical oyster gardens that you hang from docks. And what I didn't know at the time is that one healthy oyster can filter up to 50 gallons of water a day. It's a lot of water.
That's amazing.
Isn't it amazing? I had no idea.
So you hang the old oysters, and then it encourages new oysters to come and grow there or whatever they do?
Yeah, it becomes like a natural reef. And what happens is, so we have local restaurants involved. Salt Rock is involved, Salt Rock Tavern. We now have Great Catch involved. And I know Beechwood is, I believe, getting involved. They just started selling oysters on the half shell. So it's like a community thing. So they save the half shells. We pick them up. And then we put them together. And then volunteers, whether you have a dock or not, come out December 11th at 9 a.m. We're coming out to the shelter right there by the pier. And we'll string them like popcorn and get instructions on how to go through this process with Tampa Bay Watch. And so think about this. If one oyster can do 50 gallons, you start doing the math. If we get these hung, we have over 60 dock owners, somewhere around there. Here in Oldsmar alone, you get 1,000 of these oysters. Now you start to do the math. I mean, it actually makes quite an impact.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
so, and I'm just going to say this to everyone, there's no 100% guarantee. We've got to make sure that it works and it takes and all these things. So it is definitely a great way to get involved. All right. So my guest today, he's here to talk about all the amazing things that are going on coming up this weekend. You know, it's like we go from 0 to 100 like at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, November and December are packed for us.
So how are the Second Fridays going? Why don't you start talking about that by a little bit?
So we started Second Fridays in the summer, and, Safety Harbor does it, Dunedin does it. They're a little bit different. They have a downtown, they have merchants and things like that. We started it on the street, but we've now moved it into the park. We've tweaked it a little bit, and I think the one we just had this past Friday was probably the best one, not necessarily from an attendance standpoint, but from the feedback that we got from the vendors, because we've kind of manipulated it so that it's on pavement, so it simulates a street. The problem with doing it on the street is power. We don't have enough power to provide power to all of our vendors out there. So it's kind of a makeshift street, and so it was well attended. And the area where the bank used to be back in the day is a big grass field, and the kids were out there playing and rolling around. The music.
I saw them out there throwing stuff around.
Yeah.
It was fun.
So it was good. The vendors were good. So we're excited about that layout moving forward. So
good.
We were down a little bit on vendors, but that's because we're in the time of year when there are other events going on, and vendors choose to do a 3-day event, kind of like we have coming up this weekend.
So I heard that from quite a few people that they were like, "Yeah, we're waiting till this weekend so we can do Celebrate Oldsmar. It's 3 days. It just makes more sense for us." So that's a great transition. Why don't you share with us a little bit about what's going on this weekend with Celebrate Oldsmar and the festivities around it?
So Celebrate Oldsmar was originally a city event that was put on, and it was a one-day event. Typically, it was July 4th weekend, and as you know and everybody knows, it typically rains July 4th weekend. Also, Safety Harbor does an event the same time, so why compete with that? We moved it to Labor Day. The city moved it to Labor Day. Again, rain. So I think the city council and the city decided to turn it over to the chamber. We looked at our schedule. Of course, November we have Oktoberfest. October we have Oktoberfest and Second Fridays. And so this coming weekend, the weekend before Thanksgiving, just worked out great. The weather's going to be beautiful. So instead of one day like it was, it's going to be 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Music all 3 days. Some interesting music, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But a parade Saturday morning at 11 o'clock. We have a lot of entrants in there. You will be riding in one of the tricked out Jeeps. I know
there you go.
In March we do Oldsmar Days with the Oldsmobiles.
Right.
And so we thought we'd do a little something different.
Change it up a little bit.
So the council, Commissioner Eggers, Commissioner Justice, Senator Hooper will be there. Congressman Bilirakis might make it if he can get his flight down here on time. And then we have some floats and some, groups that are marching and things like that. So it should be great. But the music, typically we have Stormbringer on Sunday, which is kind of a staple. But Greg Billings retired, so he says,
right,
and did a big show at Ruth Eckerd Hall. But we have some great groups. One of them is actually a chamber member, Friday Night Shake Society. They play at LBC a lot. And then some friends of mine, Southbound 75, they actually have some stuff going on in Nashville, so they're real well known. And then Jericho, then we have the fireworks at 8 o'clock, which... if you have never seen the Oldsmar fireworks, they are phenomenal. Probably,
it's amazing.
I say it's one of the better ones in the Bay Area. Depending on the weather, probably about a 24, 26-minute show, which is phenomenal. I don't know if you remember the one year. It kind of a funny story. So it's all computerized.
Right.
So the fireworks started, and they started just gangbusters. And I thought, because normally they start slow, and then they, And I thought, holy cow, what is going on? Turns out they loaded the program backwards and they did the finale first. And then it ended like this. Pew, pew.
Do you remember the one year where and we're going to run out of time, but do you remember the one year when the one mortar tipped?
Yeah.
And it shot back out at the crowd?
Yeah, that was a little scary. If you've never gone out there on that pier when they're shooting that stuff off,
don't.
It is scary.
Don't do
it.
My
God, because they're right out there. But
it's a beautiful event. If you haven't been out there for that, bring the kids, bring blankets, sit on the ground. It's my favorite.
Free to get in, too. Free to get in. So we'll have lots of vendors. This is the great one. Sunday at 1 o'clock, a band called Folk University. And then after that, Code Red, both kind of the same people. Folk University is 2 people. Code Red is the whole band. But it's actually Pinellas County property appraiser Mike Twitty.
Yes.
So he will
He's
be
talented.
He is.
He's talented.
And his kid. Folk University is him and his son. So looking really forward to it.
Well, good. It's going to be a good time. So tell us a little bit. I know we have the Mayor's Breakfast coming back up.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, we didn't have it last year. We had a couple of an alternate plan. And so it's going to be coming up December 3rd, 7:30 in the morning.
Safety Harbor Spa is the host. We rotate next year. Hopefully, if Nielsen is back open, Oldsmar will host it at Nielsen, but Safety Harbor is hosting it. And the best part is the money raised from the tickets and a tree auction and with you guys serving coffee goes to benefit the kids of Safety Harbor and Oldsmar. The Oldsmar money goes to the Rotary Club. It is paired up with the bikes that charity that I'm part of, Holiday Sharing Fund. We buy the bikes, and it makes Christmas special for a lot of kids. So tickets are available at the chamber office.
And we almost didn't do it this year because we were kind of up in the air with where we were going to be at with COVID. We made the decision to come in and do it. I'm glad that we have. And just for our friends going, I'm going to set this up a little bit. We have a little competition, Mayor Joe and I, about who collects the most tips. So bring some cash so we can beat Safety Harbor again, because we did win last time.
Right.
And I know when you were mayor, did you? Oh, you didn't win, did you?
I'm sorry. I have a bad connection. I can't.
But anyhow, listen, it's a great cause. It's a wonderful cause. And really, it makes a difference between some kids having Christmas or not having Christmas.
Yeah.
So it's really important. So anything else you got? I think we're getting there.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. This year has just, considering 2020, we feel like we blinked and, I don't even remember. And then now 2021 is just
crazy.
Gangbusters. So 2022, I think, is going to be, we'll be a lot closer back to normalcy.
Well, I hope you're right. We're headed that way. So listen, let me check. Do we have any questions for the mayor? Nothing. All right. Well, I have to tell you something. I want to thank our guest here this morning. And,
I didn't get any coffee.
You don't drink coffee. I know that about you.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, this is Gatorade, but it's almost empty. So it's time for us to go. It's been our 20 minutes, almost on the nose. Hey, Mark, thank you behind the scenes. We have Felicia's behind the scenes helping out over here this morning as well. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. I hope you learned a little bit about what's going on, and have a wonderful day.